Dharmesh, 5 weeks to go until the Premier League gets back up and running again. It's coming round quick. Where is this squad overhaul that we expected from Ruben Amorim and United?
I did enjoy your post about you at Beyonce, by the way. Good.
I deleted it, so it's not there anymore.
Was you wearing glitter?
Definitely.
Brilliant.
Where is this going?
Brilliant.
Right, so...
This is what the fans want.
Listen, this squad overhaul that you alluded to there, I think going into this transfer window and for the majority of last season when things were going wrong at Manchester United, it was accepted that this is not a one-window fix. Manchester United are not going to panic. They are disciplined in how they are approaching this transfer window. They've got in Matheus Cunha, and they knew what they had to do to get him, which we explained before. They had to meet the conditions that Wolves had and the fee, so they did that. There's no release clause with Bryan Mbeumo, so they're trying to negotiate a price that is as much as on their terms as it is on Brentford's terms. Now, we do know that the last bid, worth £62.5 million, which included performance-related add-ons, was rejected by Brentford. There was the second bid that was rejected. Now, United will still go back in. We expect them to go back in, and I think there's still a cautious optimism that this deal can get over the line. But they know that Brentford want closer to £65 million, and they want the majority, if not all of that £65 million, to be a guaranteed payment. So that's where the negotiation will happen between Manchester United and Brentford. Can they have a halfway point where they can meet? Because they know that Bryan Mbeumo wants to go to Manchester United. So we do know that those are the two primary targets for this transfer window before they focused on what they could do with regard to sales. And we've been talking about it for the past week, those 5 players, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Alejandro Garnacho, Antony, Tyrell Malacia, all given extra time before they return to the training ground, even though Marcus Rashford has come back a little bit earlier, to find out a solution for their future. Now, if Manchester United can get their way and they get these players sold on a permanent deal, they can then generate money to maybe fund other areas of the squad that they want to do in this transfer window. So it's not a case of, right, this one transfer window, get rid of 10 players we don't want and bring in 8 players that we do want. It's almost impossible to be able to do that in one window. So United are going to do this in a way where they bring in the players that they want and avoid making those mistakes that they've made in the past, because they've had players who have arrived at the club who haven't had Premier League experience and it hasn't worked. This time they're going for Cunha, hardened in the Premier League. Bryan Mbeumo, big experience in the Premier League as well. So you can see the kind of the direction that they want to go in and make sure that the recruitment is right this time, because it's so important to do it right this time.
OK, Manchester United fans, you hear that? Patience is, of course, Marcus Rashford, who, at our time of speaking, is technically a Manchester United player, but he's been given that time away to try and find himself another club, Mark. Are we any closer to finding out where that might be? Will it be United? Could it be somewhere in Spain? Yeah,
it's interesting because we were speaking on the transfer show a couple of weeks ago about an interview that Marcus Rashford done with Spanish YouTubers called X-Buyer. Oh, you can see it there. They had millions and millions of followers. They've got relationships with people at Barcelona. They've spoken to high-profile Barcelona players. And in this interview here, he's saying, basically, yeah, I'd love to play with Lamine Yamal. Who wouldn't? And yeah, one day I'd love to play with, you know, those stars at Barcelona. And they kind of said, could it happen? Will it happen? And his response was, hopefully. He made it very clear that he wanted to play Champions League football, so that left very few options in the Premier League. And of course, Barcelona is always a club that he's admired, respected, and wanted to be associated with. And it almost feels like now, back then when he says, oh, I want to play for Barcelona, you go, well, you know, they've got other targets and they're probably going to go and get them. Yes, you're on their list. We know that Deco has said he likes Marcus Rashford. However, there were other players you felt that would be number one, number two. But now things have fallen almost into place. We know that Nico Williams has signed that bumper contract at Athletic Club. He's going nowhere until 2035 as things stand. And we know that Liverpool have rebuffed any interest in Luis Diaz. So therefore, it leaves Marcus Rashford, who feels like now the number one target for Barcelona. We know that they have to be very creative and clever financially. Our colleagues Sky in Italy have said that Barcelona are prepared to go all in to get Marcus Rashford. In terms of his personal situation, very similar to some of the other players, he's been given more time to rest whilst this gets sorted out. However, he has opted to say, no, I need to be ready for the new season. He is at Carrington. He is training in his own training regime. I think the biggest stumbling block here is going to be the wages he's on and what Barcelona can afford to pay Manchester United, and whether Manchester United are prepared to pay a healthy chunk of what he's currently on, which is rumoured to be around £300,000 to £350,000 a week. So you get the feeling it's a deal that's edging closer and looks more likely than it did a couple of weeks ago. But I think the finances at play here may make this one a tricky one to get done quickly. Yeah, you mentioned his training, and he obviously released that video earlier today of him pushing the weights and looking fit and athletic. Is that just an innocent post, or is that him sending out a message to potential clubs? I think it's younger generation like to put things on social media all the time, whatever they're doing. Look at me, I'm eating a roast dinner, or look at me, I'm training really hard and I'm ready for...
This past week has been dominated by growing speculation and reports suggesting that Bryan Mbeumo is beginning to lose patience over the stagnation of his proposed transfer from Brentford to Manchester United. The talented Cameroonian winger, who has long been identified as a key target by the Red Devils, is reportedly growing increasingly frustrated as talks between the two clubs have failed to yield significant progress. All summer long, sources close to the situation, particularly those connected to MEN Sport, have maintained that Mbeumo has one clear destination in mind: Old Trafford. Despite various clubs showing interest, including recent developments involving Thomas Frank's appointment as Tottenham Hotspur manager, Mbeumo remains firmly focused on joining Manchester United. The presence of his former manager in North London has not swayed his decision, further underlining his desire to wear the United jersey. However, despite his intentions and United's ongoing interest, negotiations have hit a standstill. Manchester United have already submitted 2 offers for the 25-year-old forward, both of which Brentford have swiftly turned down, standing firm on their valuation of the player. As a result, Mbeumo remains a Brentford player, and the deal has yet to move past the preliminary stages of discussion. With the new season fast approaching, the delay in getting this transfer across the line is reportedly testing the patience of both the player and those around him.